Hi, welcome again to the Ice King Cast, a place where we discuss RPGs, characters, opinions, and thoughts to escape the monotony of everyday life. I am the Ice King, and today I wanted to discuss more on the tabletop side opposed to the video game side, as we did last time. And when I mean the tabletop side, it can be a virtual tabletop too. I wanted to talk about models, character models. However you may take them, however you may perceive them, that's what I wanted to discuss today. Now, when I say models, it could be a plethora of different kinds of models. That's why I said tabletops were of any kind, virtual even, because we have your physical models, which run on paper, whatever kind of board that you dry erase board that you have. You can do anything. Virtual tables as well, we're using more sprites rather than or a photo or something drawn, opposed to the classic miniature that you can get. So there's a good side and a bad side to each of them. So I think if we're looking at an overall winner of the two, I would have to say the virtual tabletop one is the clear-cut winner. If we're looking at sprites and models that you want to use, for two reasons. One, they're so much easier to obtain. You find a photo that looks nice, or that kind of suits what you're going for, copy and paste, bam. Or you could even have someone draw it for you, or you could draw it yourself, which isn't that hard, depending on how comfortable you are with showing off your artistic skills, how good your artistic skills are. If you want to color it, you can do what you want. That's what's great about the virtual tabletop. It, to me, is the clear-cut winner. But I take personal pride in the miniatures, and that's why I said models at the beginning and not miniatures, because models includes everything. Miniatures, however you want to say it. Apparently, I can't say it right. The miniatures include. The problem with them is that you go searching for this perfect fit. And sometimes, especially if you're extra creative, you're never going to find it. The best hope for this, and this is not sponsored, by the way, but the best alternative is to go to HeroScape, which is an online database where you can either have one sent to you, of many different kinds, including brass. That's neat. But you can also have it set up for it to be cheaper, where you can get it 3D printed yourself. You have the materials, you have a 3D printer, do it. It's great. The problem is that it still doesn't include everything. They're including more pieces for models every day, more algorithms, things like that, to get things set up so you can be more diversified, but it's still limited to what you can think of and create and what they have available for pieces to switch around. It's one of the best sites out there. I recommend it. Have I ever bought from them? Honestly, no. I don't have the money. But it's a great place to go if you're looking for tabletop miniatures. And for me, it's always been easier for me to get people around me to come in, so I will always get a group in myself. I am the one who usually starts the RPGs around my area. For if I want to do something, I go, hey, you guys want to do this? I'll get, come on, let's play. Okay, so it's either the Battle of the Minds, where you kind of, mind theater, where you're thinking about everything. I will slay the dragon. But the problem with that is, how far away is he? That's the question you're going to get constantly. How far are they? And then your GM has to kind of think on the fly where he imagined you to be. And then you tell him where you're going to go from there. The difference is when you have miniature tabletops or models on the virtual tabletop, you already know where you are. GM doesn't have to tell you. You already see where the big baddie is. You see where all the cover is. You see where everything is. So it's up to you and how you want to move or do what you need to do. So there's a clear upside to having models and miniatures. The biggest upside is the theater of the mind is a lot harder for things like combat, which is a big part of a lot of tabletop RPGs, because you have to figure out where you are, where you're gonna be, where you're gonna 5-foot step or regular step, whichever game you call it, so you can not get attacks of opportunity, things like that. There's a lot that goes into combat. There's a lot you can do. Most of the game, or at least half of it, is built into combat. The other half is built into non-combat, or character creation, things like that. So you're running into a lot of problems figuring out where to stab someone, So I prefer using miniatures now. I used to not, because it's a lot of effort. But the effort's worth it once you find and figure out what you're doing, where you're going, like what you need to do. It does make things a little bit easier for your players and helps the flow of the game. You just have to prepare before they arrive. So there's good sides and bad sides. This is why I say the virtual tabletop is the clear winner. For not only do you have sprites that you can pick, draw, have other people draw, help out, which is fast and easy, but painting. Painting's another thing. Sometimes gray model's okay, or resin or white or whatever color it comes in. It's okay to see it on the tabletop, makes things easy, but I've played games where you have all gray models, and then I had a game where they were all painted. All the ones that I did paint, I brought, and it changed the way you view it. If you ever get a chance to see painted stuff, whether you like it or not, whether you're good at it or not, it doesn't matter. When you see your stuff painted, and then on that table with everything else, it all of a sudden becomes clear that it's much harder to play a game when it's not painted, because it doesn't look as good. When it comes to miniatures in a homebrew or a friend's campaign or a game store campaign, it's so much harder to get that, because when you paint it, you have other people you have to compare it to. You're not as confident. I know, me personally, I am more confident in my skills than anyone else. I can look at someone and go, that looks really good, but then I look at mine and go, but I did this one. And, you'll get comments of, what, you didn't paint one of his eyes. Maybe he's blind in that eye. Did you think of that? No? Okay. You get those, you can kind of do those sort of things. And sometimes, because you don't want to shame someone for painting their stuff badly either, you can kind of look at it, but go, oh, that's nice. Good for you. You used one color. Oh, it was primed, and you say it's done. Oh, good for you. So it's really up to you on how you view it. I 100% prefer miniatures, because you have that sense of accomplishment once they're painted and you bring them on the tabletop. It doesn't even have to match whatever the hell your character's doing. A good example, I played a game of Deadlands a very long time ago, and when I played Deadlands, I have a miniature from Games Workshop's, also not sponsored by the way, Games Workshop's, what is it, Zangor Shaman, which is kind of like a weird bird goat shaman thing with a weird staff, and it's flying on a weird disc with teeth, with magic underneath it. It's gnarly, but I was playing as a literal, what you would expect real life shaman to be. This person who worships the earth, of usually Native American descent, and that's what I was. But I liked the miniature so much that I used it, and everyone kind of got the gist, because he even has a staff and everything. So even though it had nothing to do or look like what I was actually playing, I enjoyed it, and I thought it looked great, which is really what matters at the end of the day, is that you think it looks great. Yeah, you don't have to care what anyone else thinks. Hey, I thought you were playing a hobbit. Why are you using a giant orc model? because it looks cool. Like, that's all you really need. I mean, so what? So space restrictions may be a thing. Fine, whatever. So that's really ever, up to your GM and up to you. And like, hey, can we do this? Make something up. Remember, tabletop RPGs are very flexible. You can kind of do what you want. What else would be nice? Let me give a good example of a great company who does do tabletop RPGs and does a good job at basically this company has expanded the idea from what it used to be from just miniatures to make it a little more accessible for even those on the virtual tabletop who would rather usually use their own creations. And Paizo is a great company that does that. Paizo has these kits that you can buy. I cannot for the life of me remember the Pawn Collection. That's it. It's a Pawn Collection. That's what it's called. And what are they? They're cardboard pieces. They're flat cardboard pieces with a picture on them. And then they have a stand, like a circular base based off of whatever size your creature is or whatever, and you just slide it in. And it holds it up, and you have your picture there. There's no heavy, hardcore painting or anything like that involved. So what's great about that is then it expands the virtual tabletop, which is, once again, the clear winner based off of what you could do, but brings it to the original tabletop, where all you would have to do is you make your creation. You can set it up on some sort of printer and have it sized down enough to where it'll still look good, and you can put it in one of these Paizo stands and use it. Because one thing that we all know, any one of us or anybody who plays tabletop RPGs, you will understand that your model is everything. When your model that you have, if you're using one, it kind of defines you in a sense, especially if you worked hard at finding it or getting it. One of mine personally, I had a Vesk biohacker that I've created, and finding a sprite for him was difficult, but when I was looking at the character operations manual, this is for Starfinder, sorry, I saw the Vesk in the, what was it? It was in the new Vesk section where they had all the different racial traits for Vesk. The Vesk that was in there was the perfect look that I wanted. It just made sense. It was a, and the reason I want to do Vesk Biohacker is this big, scary lizard man who is a scientist. I thought it was great. So what it was it looks like this big Vesk using a data pad, and he's got some vials on his chest and things like that. I don't know if he was supposed to be a biohacker to begin with, but he looked the part, and he's what I wanted. So the reason I had wanted to buy the character operations manual from Paizo was originally from their website as a downloadable, is so I could crop that out and use it. Someone else was kind enough to give it to me, but I still bought it, and I still bought the character operations manual PDF because it was only $10. And then I can show it. It was easier to, share or use or have friends come and see it, so they can work with it, opposed to handing my shiny, nice book around for everyone to destroy it because with their greasy little pizza fingers. So it becomes what you really see when you see it. I don't get to play often. I usually run games, and I create characters to kind of understand the classes and to, because I like to create characters because I'm weird like that. But when I created him, I actually used him in a game once. It was one of my very few games that I've played as a player, and I came up with some pretty unique ideas that the entire party was actually surprised of, which I think being a GM in using, running games, you can, especially when you look for people to do unique things to give them bonuses, when you finally do something unique to get a bonus, it's great. And someone else is like, oh, that's a great idea. when you play these games, you want to get into the character, because that's the whole point, is to get into the character. These sprites and models, miniatures, whatever, help you do that. If you're going to paint a miniature, I would suggest personally buying a unit from any game company that sells units that you think look nice. Why a unit? Because if you're just starting, chances are you're gonna suck. There's no two ways about it. You may look at your stuff and go, this is the bee's knees, but you're gonna suck. So my suggestion is get a unit from a company, pick a few color schemes, paint them differently, look up some tutorials. There's a few out there that are really good. I think Nate the Wargamer, or something like that, the Wargamer, he does fantastic videos. Duck Painting Studios does fantastic videos. Like, go out there, and if you're going to paint a miniature, paint one. Paint a few before you get to your pride and joy that you're going to be using. And one that you'll try and span through multiple campaigns. Not just one, but more if you can. And take the time to paint it to where you're satisfied. If you're not satisfied with what you do, then why are you doing it? Paint it up, make it look beautiful, show everyone else, look at how neat this is. And if there are any naysayers out there, tell them to shove it, because you worked hard on yours. I know I have plenty, and I have had someone come up to me and tell me that my painting sucked. And did it make me try and work harder at it? No. It just made me pissed off at the guy who thinks that he could do better when all of his were gray. Like, don't do that. Do what you love, and if you don't like painting, then don't. Make a sprite. Draw something. If you don't want to draw something, then find something that suits you in a picture. You have many options out there. Take whichever ones work best for you. For me, painting is what I like to do, because when it's done, I can say it's done, and if it's not done, I can always go back. You can always go back and fix it. It's like a haircut. It'll always grow back, except in this, you can always paint over it. So take what I say with a grain of salt and do what you feel you want to do. And especially if you're an artist, or you're good at drawing and you like drawing, I would draw it. Because draw it, then you're going to see it, and you're going to enjoy it more. I don't care what style you paint it or draw it. Just you do you. Miniatures are important. And models are important. Because they help define your character, who helps define you, and it helps get you out of that monotony of everyday life. You pick something that you represent as you when you're not being you. And there's really no better way to say it than that. So, by all means, go forth and conquer. Destroy evildoers, or be an evildoer. I don't care. But if you've got a model that you truly enjoy, flaunt it. If you got it, flaunt it. Alright, and that's going to be it for me today. Thank you for listening. If you're listening or have any other questions or comments, please let me know in either the comment section or YouTube, or however other way you want to try and contact me. YouTube's usually the best way. Thank you for listening, and for everyone out there, stay frosty.